Hello people, this is Hans from Project Lights Out and welcome to the show. It's not directly a show, you know that. It's a broadcast about serious problems in our society, in our lives. Today I have my special guest. This is Melanie from Belgium.
Thank you for introducing me, and I'm pleased to be again on your show. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, okay.
Indeed, thank you, Hans, for having invited me again to give an update
Yep.
about the very important issues that we are usually discussing. To remind people a little bit who I am, and I mean, just introduce me, but just to say it shortly. My name is Melanie. I live in Brussels. I'm of German origin, and why I appear often on your live streams is that I suffer from Morgellons. And for people that don't know what Morgellons is, it's an invasion of human tissues by a nanotechnology. So now that sounds a little bit like science fiction to many people, but the fact is that it is unfortunately much more science than fiction, and that many people around the world, and I thank you for bringing that to the public attention, and suffer from these gross abominations and rights in being victimized by a technology, a nanotechnology like this in my case. And I think it's really very important that we are doing these shows to bring that to public awareness, to let people know what is going on. People that are on this live stream, except for Hans, at least we think it's not the case with you, Hans, is that they have been victimized by a technology which has been brought into their body without informed consent. And this technology has horrendous consequences on the, well, provokes a sharp degradation of their health, can even result in death, and is in general resulting in death. It's just in most cases a slow death, and also is basically torturing the person. It's a non-touch torture, as I would say that, because first of all, most people suffer from horrendous pain all over the body, excruciating headaches, electroshocks, involuntary movement of limbs, and cardiac how do you say, irregularity. The heart is beating, can raise. It's in an irregular way, and people that have been victimized by this have also died by cardiac arrest. We had just a recent case 2 months ago, who died at the age of 44, I believe, a tragic death by heart attack. So there are many terrible consequences on people's life. They're basically tortured 365 days a week, or 24 hours around the clock. And we are bringing this to public awareness, and thank you, Hans, for your help.
You were talking to me many times that they also try to separate you from your son, from your family, from your husband, and everything. How are things going now? Is it still?
Yes. Thank you for. I appreciate asking you the question and taking what's an interest in my personal life, which is unfortunately very much linked to this aggression on my body, because before I was in very good health and I never had any problems, and had a very good job, and I had everything going for me. So this aggression has basically destroyed my life, my health, and had also dramatic consequences on my personal life, which is the case with many victims of these crimes against humanity. But so in my case, I'm no exception. I started to have these very strange symptoms when my son was very young. So in fact, looking now back, I'm pretty sure when this aggression happened, when I underwent surgery in the hospital, and that was even before I was pregnant. So this technology was already present in my body during my pregnancy, and when after giving birth, it was really becoming apparent, because then I had more and more of this material coming out of my skin. So in my well, during this period that I saw many doctors and tried to find out what was going on with me, my former partner, my son's father, introduced a custody claim against me, requesting full custody and saying that I had basically suffered from some delusional disorder. Basically, I had gone crazy, and custody should be given to him because I was an unfit mother and not in the state anymore of taking care of my son. I would like to underline also here that he didn't even want my son. I tried to make me abort whilst I was pregnant. So it is total paradox that he should have the custody now. And so this has been very, very difficult. So I was basically thrown into this custody battle, taking totally off guard. It started because I got a text message from him saying that he had taken my son from daycare and run away with him for a week, and that he was going to send me the lawyer, and that I was to appear next Monday in court because he was claiming total custody to protect my son from this delusional mother that claimed that she had some nanotechnology in her body. So this has been going on for a year, this custody battle back and forth. And whilst this court judgment was in preparation, we had shared custody. Unfortunately, it was not respected by him, so he regularly did not show up with my son. And instead of spending the weekend with my son, I spent it at the police station to report his non-compliance with the court's order. Unfortunately, this judgment was pronounced in March and gave him full custody. 2 hours a week in a supervised facility, and made no reference at all to him not complying to the court's order. So it was virtually as if it was totally all right that he never respected the court judgment and didn't bring my son at the stipulated date and time. That was perfectly all right. It was not even mentioned, but I was delusional, and therefore my son should be taken away from me. My son has terribly suffered because of this. He's very attached to me and doesn't understand why he cannot see his mommy anymore. So has almost no contact to me. So I know he's terribly suffering. And he also expressed that to his father in his language of a 3-year-old. And that led to the fact that with all these horrible attacks and torture that I'm subjected to for the last 3 years, I had also this to deal with, which means I have appealed this judgment, which is totally outrageous. And so this is to come to your question, Hans, the next court hearing will be on 20th of November this year. And I hope that I will be able to obtain the report then from this last RF scanning that I've attended in the Faraday cage, where Carmen and Dirk were as well. And hopefully we will have this I will have this report by then. And because I will be very curious to see how they react to a positive RF scanning in a closed environment, and to see if they will still call me delusional then. So this is where we stand right now.
Disillusion.
Yeah, I would take this opportunity to thank everybody that is here, except for Dirk. I mean, it's just nothing. We didn't know each other then. Who basically Carmen and Marie and yourself, Hans, have already did declarations themselves declaring that they were suffering from the same crime. And in the first trial, this was also basically swept under the carpet. And we have made sure that these declarations have been taken out again and are still in the court files. And it will certainly make reference to them as well. So thank you very much.
No.
Sorry, Carmen, I interrupted you.
No, I just said that you are just disillusioned and not delusional.
Yes, there's a very important difference there. Disillusioned, meaning that you have no illusions left about how often, unfortunately, the justice system and governments really operate these days. But in fact, perfectly sane and perfectly rational, knowing full well what's happening to you, and the horrible frustration of seeing your son suffer as a result of this too. By being separated from his loving mother. Yeah, it's just yet one more outrage that is directly resulting from these monstrosities.
Yeah, by the way,
victim.
I met Melanie's son here, and he is really, really sweet, a really sweet boy, and it's quite terrible to have a kid, you know, and not being there. I don't have kids myself, but I can understand that it must be terrible to not being able. If I was a mother and I would be in this situation, I would really, really be you know, like very, very depressed because for not being there, you know, to see my son every day, you know, and this is extremely difficult, probably.
Yes, it's really, really, really terrible. So, and yeah, as Dirk says, it's one more victim, and in this case, he's 3 years old. And he doesn't understand why one has taken away his mother. But I'm determined to, as I said, I've appealed this outrageous judgment, and I'm determined to get my son back and to obtain justice. And I believe if I win this court case, and I certainly will do whatever I can to win it, and I should win it because, I mean, there's sufficient proof that I'm not delusional, and even certificates from psychiatrists, psychologists, and various doctors stating that my illness, I don't want to say illness, it's more like an attack, is absolutely not delusional, and it's very true, and that I'm also a very capable and fit mother, and that's actually the only thing that should count. So I will try everything to win this court case, and I will certainly fight the best I can, and I hope I will win it. But if I win it, then I will regard this as a victory for all of us, because in some way it'll also be a recognition of this horrendous crimes that we're victims of. If they take back their claim of me being delusional, which I don't hope, but should I not win, should they go on in their strategy of denying all this, then you can count on me that the next step, then I'll take it further, either to the European Court on Human Rights or the International Criminal Court in The Hague. We shall see then. But at the moment, I have very good evidence, and I'm actually looking forward to that day in court because I'm ready for the fight, let's say, and I hope I win, and I hope I can win not only for Adrien, not only for my son, for myself, but I hope I can win for us. Thank you, Hans, for giving us this opportunity to raise public awareness for this, and it's really so important. And because I mentioned this because Chris Vortex from Dream Vortex Radio on Revolution Radio freedomslips.com, that's another site people should retain, freedomslips.com, has just sent me a message. He's watching this live stream, and he, when I was talking about my son, he writes, and I would like to say this publicly because I'm very moved by this, and I really hope it's true. He says, well, hopefully it's a historic victory all around and creates many positive ripples.
Yeah.
So I would like to say that on air,
Yeah,
because
excellent.
that's what's really true. Let's hope that I win, and that is
You
a
have to
historic
win.
victory.
You have proofs. You have proofs. You also spend a lot of money. For example, going to England, that they made the scan, and they really found that there's something transmitting from your body, right?
Yes, Carmen went there too. I went indeed to London in April, where we did this preliminary scan, which means now we've done it in the Faraday cage, but this was the same thing we've done in the Faraday cage, but not in the Faraday cage, let's say, to a preliminary scan, where I came up positive and Carmen also came up positive. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not able to work anymore. I'm basically living on an unemployment benefit. It's very difficult to even keep my roof over my head. This apartment that I bought 10 years ago, and so it's difficult. I really don't have very much money, but I spent that money to go to London on that trip, and I don't want to say it paid off, but basically it's I came back with positive results. So we have very solid proof. Yeah. It's actually a transhumanism enforced by nanotech weapons. I mean, these are weapons, this technology. I mean, let's face it. I would like to remind that when we were doing these tests in the Faraday cage, and I think this interview can be found on the H.A.A.R.P website, there were actually the H.A.A.R.P Jesse Beltran, H.A.A.R.P's president, and Lars Rutgard, who's from Denmark, who's the European regional director, were interviewed by a radio station here, in fact, Transparent Vlaams Netherlands radio, about their work and about why they were in Belgium on this weekend, what we were trying to prove. And there's something which particularly marked me, and that this is just to basically corroborate emphasize what Dirk just said, that these tests are they're even experimenting on children, is what particularly marked me is that he said that he attended one of the presidential bioethics commission of President Obama in the framework of H.A.A.R.P. He went there, and what he heard there was particularly disturbing is that they now want to test anthrax on toddlers, on peds, on pediatrics. So that means they'll have to expose them to it. I was particularly shocked by what I've heard, and this is just to prove that experimentation, non-consensual experimentations with really dramatic consequences on human life. And when I say dramatic, I mean that could result in death of the subject, of the person, let's say. I don't like to say subject. It's really not a new thing, and experiments on children, it's really not a new thing too. And when we did the scanning, we even found children, very young children, that came up positive, who have been victimized and tortured by this technology. So I would like to underline that we're not at all in a new setting here. It's certainly unprecedented in the scope of the attack, which is really global, but non-consensual experimentation with very severe or even fatal consequences on the test person's life is not a new thing, and including children is not a new thing either. So I would like to underline this very much, and I am particularly touched by this because, as my colleagues here know, is that I have a young son of 3 years of age, and when I see what has been done to me and my fellow sufferers here, fellow victims, then I'm very concerned about his future, and also by the future of all the children on this planet. if we really do not stand up against this and bring these horrendous crimes against humanity to an end.
Maybe Dirk, you know a lot of those technology. When I had you on my other live stream, you were talking very good and explaining this. So if you want to say something again about this, that the people understand what is mind control or how they do it, maybe I don't know if you can explain it again, that people who are watching this right now, that they get involved of all this.
Sure, Hans. I can summarize things. I actually, yeah, I went into some detail on the previous call. Let me just mention, for the benefit of those who have never heard of directed energy weapons or not so-called non-lethal weapons, that these employ actual means of transmitting energy in of course a hurtful fashion. Obviously, that makes them weapons.
Yeah.
And that this isn't just science fiction, as people might think from, say, watching countless science fiction shows and not really interesting themselves in the actual science. The origins of certainly directed energy weapons go back at least to the early 20th century, when one of the most brilliant scientists, a person by the name of Nikola Tesla, from Serbia, relocated to the U.S. at the end of the 19th century, and already started at that time making amazing discoveries in terms of electricity and other aspects of electromagnetic energy that had various applications. And then later in his life, in the 20s and the 30s, he died in 1943 at the age of 86, I believe. He became interested or shifted his attention to various other applications, including weapons. And his intent was actually to try to, or he thought that this held the potential of actually introducing peace into the world, because that these weapons would show the futility of trying to fight with conventional arms, and that people would be so shocked by the fact that this new technology could be employed to really wipe out, whole forces, air forces, and that type of thing at once, that it would really help the cause of peace. Unfortunately, things didn't quite work out that way. He died in 1943, and even though he was regarded towards the end of his life, even though he was brilliant and had come up with hundreds of working patents and so forth, very useful inventions, alternating current and so forth. Nevertheless, people tended to poo-poo these last researchers of his. And in fact, even though he offered to give the technology over to various governments, to their militaries, namely the U.S. and I think also the Great Britain, those declined. However, it's very interesting to note that just after he died, the day, or I think maybe 2 days after he died, when the authorities in the U.S. became aware that he had died, they quickly sent in a person to operate under what was called at that time the Alien Custodian Protection Act, which was actually a misapplication of the law, because in fact Tesla was no longer a resident alien. He'd actually become a citizen of the United States decades earlier. But that's just a side note. His secrets, all the things that he was working on at the end, including this technology for what was popularly called in like the New York Times and so forth, when reporting on Tesla's developments, as the death ray. All those papers of his were snatched up by the authorities, and of course there still remained some information about what he had done. But the actual details were no longer to be had. At any rate, lest people think that, oh, well, that doesn't prove anything. In fact, it's in the public record that I think the U.S. military became aware that the Japanese, even during World War II, were trying to develop what was, as I said, called at that time the death rate. Now, they didn't necessarily come up with anything, but they were definitely spending money to research this. And in fact, finally, the first absolute proof that this was in fact practical and possible came in the 1950s. And it was gradually made aware of, well, I mean, the U.S. Became aware of this as a result of the Soviets bombarding the U.S. Embassy in Moscow with damaging electromagnetic waves that caused a number of health problems in the personnel working there. So that even though the United States didn't acknowledge this publicly, they definitely had people researching this from the CIA and so forth to try to see what was exactly being used, the exact frequencies, of course, how to combat them and so forth. And they also, in fact, into the weeds there. I guess to summarize it, this bombardment of the U.S. Embassy went on for decades. Even before 1960, in the late 50s, the U.S. Army was developing, in fact, an electromagnetic weapon of its own called the River Styx weapon, that a technical document that's been unclassified since 1979, I believe it is, refers to as, well, they say, they caution that if this were to become known to the public, at that time it was classified, as I said, secret, at least, that it would be probably denounced as an atrocity weapon and so forth. And of course, these days there are various publicly known other examples of electromagnetic weaponry, like the active denial system, which can cause instantaneous pain in people as a result of just operating on people's skin. But that's just one example, and there are many other examples. There's also the use of electromagnetic technology in a different form to do all sorts of achieve all sorts of neurological effects. Research on this has been going on at least since the 1950s, if not earlier. In fact, there are antecedents in the 30s even for this. But at any rate, certainly this was researched, for instance, under what's called the MK Ultra program, a very top secret program that was consisted of a number of experiments in all sorts of areas, but including remote electromagnetic effects. Because among other things, the CIA wanted to see if producing a real-life Manchurian candidate was possible. So in fact, there were apparently quite encouraging results from that, encouraging from the standpoint of those who would, of course, want to introduce things like subliminal effects and that type of thing. And in more recent years, there have been all sorts of patents and, in fact, even unclassified developments in the realm of to some extent, remote electromagnetic behavioral influencing. So to the extent that it's actually undeniable now, even though, of course, the mainstream media still don't really publicize this very much. They might mention one development in isolation, that sort of thing. But in fact, most people really don't have a very good idea of this happening at all, but it is. So there's really collectively a lot of evidence, therefore, that these techniques exist, and in fact, based upon all the targets of the world who have realized what's happening to them, not only in terms of the pain being inflicted, but also on all sorts of subliminal suggestions and so forth being introduced into them, that it becomes quite clear that this is very advanced technology at this point. Obviously, all of those of us who are being targeted have no way of bringing to light the massive paperwork that must exist at this point that's classified as to exactly how this is being done and so forth. So we're not in a very good position to try to measure it because, of course, the meters that are available, yes, we can find out some things, and that's in fact exactly what we're doing. through the radio frequency testing. But nevertheless, obviously, ultimately, it would be nice to be able to go to the source of these, and therefore, expose these perpetrators as they're actually operating. But of course, the odds are terribly against us. I mean, they're the ones who have the equipment. They're the ones who have the big budgets to employ world-class PhDs in all the technologies involved, and as a direct result of this targeting, whatever abilities we might have had at the beginning are sharply degraded, physiologically, obviously mentally, intellectually. I mean, when you're subjected to nonstop sleep deprivation and the infliction of pain, even if you had the potential to become, in fact, a brilliant scientist who might be able to independently come up with replicate this technology to then reverse engineer it, you're certainly not going to be able to be in that position at this point once you're a target. So that's why I say it's incredible odds that we are fighting, and the public has to be aware of the fact that just simply because we cannot expose these criminals, because that's who they are, even if they're acting under color of authority with governmental funding, albeit classified, hush-hush, and therefore not at all publicly disclosed. They're criminals, but they're high-tech criminals in the extreme. So extreme in both in terms of the high-tech and the extreme criminality of this, of course, especially when you consider that this is taking place in all sorts of supposedly democratic countries, where supposedly there are prohibitions against torturing people who are innocent, let alone, torturing people who are even guilty of various crimes, let alone against torturing people who are actually innocent of crimes, such as the vast majority of us targets are. So it really,
really
I realize,
unwitting children, women, and men, as we said. And I would just interject there, Dirk. It's very,
Sure.
very, very interesting what you said, and it's absolutely right. But because you said two things where I would like to react to. First of all, torture. Let's not forget that the European Convention on Human Rights, Article 3, is because Dirk said, well, in democratic countries, or at least countries of democratic appearance, Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights says that torture is illegal, it is totally banned. What we are experiencing here is extreme torture, even though it is invisible torture, and that's the whole evil thing of this is that it's so deniable. And then another thing, what I wanted to react to, what Dirk said, I thought was very interesting. He talked about the death row, and what I would like to mention in this respect is that in 1999, the European Parliament issued a resolution. Unfortunately, it's still only a resolution, which is basically a declaration of intent, if you want to, which can then be transferred into law, into a directive or not. So at the moment, it is still at the state of this resolution. And this resolution said that it wanted an international ban on any weapon that has the capability to influence, to manipulate the human being, so any technology, and also talked about H.A.A.R.P, and that's why I wanted to interject when you said death ray. H.A.A.R.P is the H.A.A.R.P weapon, and I will call it a weapon, it's officially a research facility out of the H.A.A.R.P in Alaska, but there are also various stations in European countries now that is supposed to study the ionosphere. That's at least what we're officially being told. In fact, what it does, it heats up the ionosphere, and then you can beam down, create earthquakes, whatever, with this technology. So it is extremely dangerous. And this resolution of the European Parliament included also that any further research should be stopped before we do not know the effects on the environment of this facility. Well, the United States did not want these H.A.A.R.P facilities to be inspected, and thus it is still a resolution. But I believe it is an extremely powerful weapon, extremely dangerous, and for me, this is actually the death row. And yeah, anything could happen. And in this resolution, the European Parliament also warned of the mind control capabilities of H.A.A.R.P. So I just wanted to interject there because.
Yeah, and the problem is that anyone who tries to speak out suddenly goes crazy, like Charlie Sheen after having made this video about 9/11. He suddenly became very weird, you know. So you wonder how they use this technology, and it's probably so that they don't want people to. They see anyone speaking out as a potential threat, and they eliminate all threat. And it's quite interesting because they do have very advanced technology, and they developed it over many years since the supercomputers were developed, and they can actually, with the supercomputer, the artificial intelligence probably that the supercomputer has to identify potential threats, and how they do it, if it's some kind of you know, like Dirk says about energy, or if it's done with microchips on large populations, it's not clear.
Exactly. In fact, it's well known that classified technology is, in many or most instances, decades in advance of non-classified technology. So I think that even, say, scientists, a lot of scientists who aren't necessarily working on these classified projects, they have some idea of what's going on, but of course they're hamstrung because they can't speak out about it in particular because they don't have the detailed information, but they definitely know something's going on. So sometimes you do hear them talking in ways that make you realize that, yeah, they have an idea, and that of what can go on, and if they're really high-minded enough, they even try to, in a sense, warn the public. So, in fact, I found it quite interesting to come across a few years ago a statement by the director of the unit of molecular neurobiology at the Pasteur Institute in France. In fact, he was the president of the French National Consultative Committee of Ethics of Life and Health Scientists at the time. That's the Comité Consultatif National d'Éthique pour les Sciences de la Vie et de la Santé. Excuse my French pronunciation, but he mentions, giving the English translation of a passage in a speech that he gave to the annual public meeting in January 1998 to that committee. He mentions, quote, "Neuroscience also poses potential risks," he said, arguing that advances in cerebral imaging make the scope for invasion of privacy immense. Although the equipment needed is still highly specialized, it will become commonplace and capable of being used at a distance, he predicted. That will open the way for abuses such as invasion of personal liberty, control of behavior, and brainwashing. These are far from being science fiction concerns, said Changeux, that's his name, Jean-Pierre Changeux, and constitute, quote, "a serious risk to society," end quote. So keep in mind, this is not somebody who is, some crazy person who is, doesn't have tons of credentials and is just, just speaking his mind about something that he's uttering in a drunken stupor. This was the president of the French National Consultative Committee of Ethics of Life and Health Sciences speaking 14 and a half years ago. Just thought I'd mention that for, the people who might continue to be skeptical about, when they hear us talking. I mean, there are really hard facts that you can adduce about this. And when you realize that targets are coming forward, victims of these technologies are coming forward worldwide who had no interest in just becoming stars at all. I have no pleasure in what's happening to me, and I certainly have no pleasure in talking about it, except for I just have a desire to end these monstrosities. So I'm not a publicity hound or anything like that. Far from it. I was totally the reverse, and I still am. I have no interest in parading myself in public, except for I find that I have no choice but to bring these atrocities to the public's ear and eye to the extent that I can. I should point out that again, just what you were saying. I mean, there's a lot, an enormous amount of secrets. Of course, a lot of those have nothing to do with our concerns, but a lot do, undoubtedly. And in fact, for that, in the U.S., for instance, I'm sure it's very similar in many other countries. There's a whole avenue that inventors of classified technology can proceed upon to protect their inventions. So, in fact, they're known as secret patents because, in fact, they are not disclosed at all to the public. So, I mean, it's just we have, obviously, all of the rest of us have no way of finding out the details of those things. We're just unfortunately the guinea pigs for feeling their many adverse effects. And in fact, I completely forgot about mentioning that, but the see-through-the-wall radar, really, that's no secret at all. Of course, I suppose the most highly developed versions of that are still secret, undoubtedly. But even what's known publicly and is in fact even being sold by various companies to governments worldwide is certainly more than adequate to really remove the privacy from anybody whom somebody else with that radar equipment decides to use it against. So I mean, you can be watched in the so-called privacy of your home doing whatever intimate acts you are fully entitled to do, but you have no privacy, whether in the bedroom, the bathroom. It doesn't matter if if, as I said, organizations, persons with this equipment decide that they want to use it on you. And of course, you have no way of knowing that it's being used on you. Obviously, the human body not being able to detect in and of itself without assistance, technically, that radar is being used on you. So you really have no way of knowing. But it's very easy for the authorities to do this. And right now in the United States, for instance, there's even some credible reports that talk about not just see-through, not just advanced radar being used, of course, and various imaging to detect things in airports and other transportation hubs and so forth that of course the authorities want to try to catch terrorists for. But in fact, that there are even, as I said, some reports about vans with such equipment going down various roads and applying, using it against people in their homes and so forth. I mean, not just people who are specifically targeted, such as Melanie and myself, but just the public as a whole. But of course, again, most people have no idea about this because it requires some careful investigation. But you can find such credible news reports if you look carefully. So it really, ultimately, when you combine all the inventions and the actual implementations of these various technologies, the weaponry, the invasive surveillance equipment, the remote neurological monitoring, and the remote neurological influencing behavior, and various other things, really that all adds up to almost the sort of complete control that any dictator could have ever dreamt of 100 years ago, and just regretted that he didn't have access to that at that time. Well, now's the time when that is almost fully in place, I'm afraid to say. So, I mean, that's really, if anybody out there really cares about their own freedom, just selfishly, forget about ours. If they really just are concerned about their own freedom, I would hope that they would start to wake up and press their respective governments for more information and accountability in these regards. In the U.S., for instance, well, of course, in the U.K., it's one of the that's very far advanced, where they have really cameras in just about every public place, monitoring people, and there's very sophisticated software that can process a lot of that automatically. Facial recognition software, all sorts of things like that. But there are also humans who are participating in the monitoring of everybody basically who's appearing in public there in the UK. As I said, those places where they have those cameras, and there are tens of thousands of them, if not more even, that they have there in the UK already at this point. And those are starting to be introduced elsewhere, of course, including the US. Also in the US, they have what's now called so-called intelligent street lamps, which basically incorporate both cameras as well as the ability to speak to passersby. Of course, this is presumably acting in their best interest. So if some sort of emergency were to arise, they could notify the persons on the street that, oh, okay, all of a sudden we're about to have, some sort of hurricane strike our cities, so take cover or something like that. But they can also be used, of course, in any sort of dystopian way that the authorities might wish to in the future, by correcting on the spot, so-called correcting or addressing some citizen by saying, oh, no, you shouldn't litter, or you shouldn't be doing that, or you must do this, or something like this.
Yes.
So, so I mean, it really doesn't take a genius to figure out the direction.
It's like a little bit like from all sides. Yeah,
What's that?
It's coming from all sides now. This intrusion in our life, including in our bodies. And just to bring this home to Europe, let's not forget that the European Group on Ethics in Science and New Technologies, EGE, at the time it was chaired by the Swedish professor Goran H.A.A.R.P, adopted on my birthday, on 16th of March 2005, option 20, and it's on the ethical aspects of ICT implants in the human body. And they said that direct brain control involve communication technologies. They take information from the brain and externalize it. The implementation of microchips with the potential for individual and social forms of control is already taking place. So that was in 2005. So, and then he added that this was a large-scale project that changed the human nature, and he said contemporary society is confronted with changes that have to do with the anthropological essence of individuals. It's true, we're changing the human. What has been done to us is basically changing us into a robot, or at least introducing robotic parts in our body, against informed consent, of course. And then he mentioned that the use of ICT implants in order to obtain remote control over the will of people should be strictly prohibited. Does a human being cease to be such a being in cases where some parts of his or her body, particularly the brain, are substituted and or supplemented by ICT implants? And stated, ICT implants influencing the nervous system, and particularly the brain, and thus human identity as species, as well as individual subjectivity and autonomy. So that is really, it says it all. It is transferring us into robots without us giving the consent to control us, and basically suppressing free will. And the European Group on Ethics in Science and New Technologies in their report, it's called option number 20, on 16th of March 2005, already warned the European Commission that this is already happening. It is already a reality. It's not science fiction.
Exactly.
So this was, as I said, in 2005. We're now in 2012.
Yeah,
so and we are the living proof that it is indeed a reality. So just to underline that we're really not we're talking science fiction here, but
exactly.
rather
I mean,
a very, very questionable time. Interesting, because Dirk was talking about these lamps that are also basically spy lamps. I indeed, and many victims of electronic terrorism claim that, but it is a fact that this technology has something what is called auditory and visual biofeedback, which means that there's actually microchip, and I have total changes of vision, so I have now a pixelated view, that is actually a microchip in your eye, in your eyes, and also in your ears. And I hear this whining sound all the time in my ears as well, and I can actually feel the chip in there. So and I know of one particular case who also had these implants on the retina, who went to the Bioethics Commission of President Obama and had this proof with her. She had these photos of her retina that were blown up, and where you could see this microchip on her retina. And in fact, what was in this chip was a small camera. And with these small cameras,
nanotechnology,
you could take pictures. So she was basically an unwitting spy, or a walking surveillance equipment, if you want to.
Yeah, and it's important to mention too that a lot of the effects can be carried out actually without even any implants at all. So people might say, oh, well, how do people get implants and all that? Well, that's a whole nother story. I mean, there are all sorts of ways actually, as it turns out. But I will just mention that, again, and in addition to what I'd already mentioned about remotely, various non-lethal weapons and so forth, and also remote influencing, I mean, concretely, for instance, there's something that the Soviets used to use even as far back as the 1960s. So we're talking about something half a century old in technology, called the LIDA machine. And that could remotely carry out various effects on a person's brain through electromagnetic waves of various frequencies, including being able to put somebody to sleep as well as awakening them and introducing various emotions in them and that sort of thing. In fact, it's well known that, among those people who study the area, that there are specific frequencies that can induce specific emotions like rage, panic, fear, anxiety, that sort of thing. And then there's also, one can mention concretely that back in 18 years ago, the Russian scientist named Igor Smirnov had his Institute of Psychocorrection in Moscow. Now, he claimed using it for the good, and he may very well have been. But what he taught, what was referred to even back then, I just quote, using electroencephalographs, he measures brain waves, then uses computers to create a map of the subconscious and various human impulses, such as anger or the sex drive. Yeah. Then, through taped subliminal messages, he claims to physically alter that landscape with the power of suggestion. At the University of Michigan, Howard Chevron has also studied the relationship between brain responses and the unconscious, but he has doubts about therapeutic applications. Quote, I'm not sure that this should be tampered with. The effects could be harmful. End quote. Now, of course, that goes down as really the understatement of the year, maybe the decade. Yes, the effects can definitely very much be extremely harmful. So, I mean, there's really a lot of concrete, solid, really irrefutable technical evidence showing that this technology exists, and to some extent is even being used. And when you couple that with the presence of the targets collectively worldwide, there's no question that very malevolent forces are at work in those governments worldwide to implement this. and I guess on a wider scale. And I just hope that the general public starts to wake up before they find themselves subjected to this without any way to turn back the clock, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would only want to speak a little bit. Everybody talks about these frequencies, but everyone forgets these implants. And I would like to talk a little bit about why these are important, even if they say that they can track you down with these frequencies and so on. Well, an implant creates a two-way communication system with a supercomputer. And the transmission to the implant contains some kind of programming, and what goes back is biological information. And this biological information is important for scientists and for research and so on. So, but they also contain often tracking chips. So they seem also quite important. And targeted individuals that emit radio frequencies or that have actually found implants in their bodies with scans, medical scans. They have quite many, and they are very small. And we met an American woman in Belgium, and she had quite good information about her implants, and they are extremely small. They look weird, and they have claws, and they attach themselves to nerves into the body. It's like they're floating around, they migrate, and when they find a nerve, they will cling into it and they will stimulate it. And if you stimulate like the certain what's the nerve called, the big one, I don't remember it right now.
The vagus nerve, perhaps?
Yes, you can actually, manipulate anything in the body. And, that's the thing with implants. They have a lot of technology, but they also have a lot of computer power right now, because without computers, everything, is pointless, meaningless, because they have to compile all this information somewhere, and they are trying different methods, to find the perfect patterns and so on. And human beings are quite probably quite incredible in that way, that we manage to get out of the box and to make sense of the world, and we have this subjective perception that we find meaning, and that's probably the difficult part also. And I forgot what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
To say.
I got the file you were sending. I put it on the live stream channel. Could you explain me what is this? It looks like an eye, right?
Yeah, I send it because you're talking about the eye, and I took a very, very close picture in my eyes, and you can see when I take the picture bigger, then there is something, but I have nothing in front of me, and it looks like a shadow of something. And I think I have some pictures somewhere that you can see the wires in my eyes. So I try to do a lot to take pictures of the fibers, and I see a lot of strange things.
Yeah, I saw it. It doesn't look so normal here. Okay.
No, if I have a mirror of something, that has been normal. If I have mirror to example in front of a TV or something, then you can reflect, you know, the shadow of death. But this one I just took in my eyes, and it looks like there is some picture in my, you know, in the black. So when I try to do all this research on myself, there is a lot of strange thing that people perhaps don't understand what we're talking about, but they can read. So I hope sometimes I can collect all my pictures and try to tell this is happening. It's not just science fiction. It's our world that we who are suffer of all this and target of this. We every day, it's not only the pain and death. That is so many strange things that you after a while. I have a lot of echo. Sorry.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
what Marie is referring to is the visual biofeedback. That means they can actually see in real time through your eyes. And I know what you mean, Marie, because I could actually feel when they installed these chips in my eyes, and I can also feel where I think it's a wire that goes in there. So this is true that this technology exists, and it's retinal implants that are on the retina, and it is very severe because this leads to a sharp degradation of the eyesight and ultimately to blindness. So it is an extreme grave attack. What you're reporting there, Marie. So this I wanted to point out that this absolutely these kind of biomedical, illegal biomedical research absolutely exists, and the technology exists. And I believe that this lady that I was referring to, who went to the Presidential Bioethics Commission, who had these blown up pictures of her eyes, had indeed exactly what you mentioned, Marie. She had wires. You could see the wires going in her eyes. So, and I believe she now is actually going blind.
I sent it a picture now, Melanie. I don't know if you get it, but this I took with a color effect on my phone, and that was so interesting because I have just found out the way, and where I think I have these cables and the weird thing we have inside us. Then I tried to see, and at that spot or places you can see a small dark spots, and I took it the same like I do with the eyes I took before in normal way. I took it in this colorway, and there you can see there is something strange because you can see there is a black spots. I don't know what it is, but it's interesting because it's not normal, and so I think that is the only way for us to try to prove all this, because when we say to somebody, oh, I have cable in my eyes, they think we are crazy or wires or something, but I do a lot of work and patient to do this crazy thing and show them. Like Carmen said before, it's not that, because I think the people who don't know what we have or what happened to us, they think that is just about manipulation of dreams or voices, or but it's so many things, and especially if we talk about the health. For me, in the first beginning, that was like normal flu, normal cold, normal infection of different things, thyroid. I have some cysts, so that was nothing I begin to believe. Oh, I'm target of mind control, or somebody have put some microchips. That was not my first mind, and that's because it's important uh, to explain there is not only these crazy things, or what, it's not a crazy thing because we live in it, but that sounds crazy. There is so much normal things that is horrible too, like the pain, like our health, that we have very low immune defense, and there is electricity problem, and allergy. There's many of our problems, especially with the health.
Is that you? Marie, is that you?
Yeah, I download, right.
Okay. Beautiful blue eye.
It's this color change
Yeah.
like a rainbow. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting when I take photo of that spots or places on my body, and where I have this what I can feel the wires, and there is something interesting in my eyes, because it's not normal to have all these black spots.
Really, I see it here,
You
there.
can't see it with if you just look. I suddenly find this program of different. So I
Okay.
did some
I can.
experiment.
Yeah, I'm just making some experiments here also with the uh, colors and everything. Maybe we can find something. Let me see what I can do. Maybe I can take away a little bit of some color, make it black and white. I did this once with pictures of Mars, you know. I downloaded a pic from the official website of ESA. It's like the NASA, the European Space Station, how you say, the European Space Agency, something like that. And I found even buildings on Mars with this, just playing a little bit. Yeah, there's some black spots here. I see them. Let's make it a little bit bigger. This one, yeah, it could be maybe something, I don't know. Here's another one. It's interesting.
I think Carmen and Dirk will say goodbye,
Okay.
because
Okay.
this is interesting. When we talk to each other, we're not
Yes,
talking so much online, that we have, this heavy headache and problem. But
yeah,
I can see.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
I just I have to sign off now because I just have an excruciating headache, and even if it weren't that, I had to prepare for something that I must do. But it's really been great to be on the program tonight, and I really appreciate the opportunity that you've provided us all, Hans, to speak about this very important topic.
No, thank you so much for being here, because you're so intelligent and you know much more than I know, and we need this kind of input to have people who know about what is happening, and I'm so grateful to have you here. And what I'm trying is just to bring the words out that people at least start to research and go away from the TV set and watching just soap operas, because there's so much
Yes.
there's
Yes.
so much going on behind us, and it's important to talk about it. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here, and I hope anyway we will continue with more live streams little by little. So you're
Sure.
always invited. So when you have time, not even ask, just put yourself into the live stream and you're here, because you're a good friend.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Hans, and goodbye, Marie and Carmen too. And I guess Melanie's already left. It doesn't. I don't see her, but I really appreciate everyone. And
Yeah.
so take care.
Thank you so much, man.
Take care of you
Peace.
too.
Okay.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Your updates. What happened since the last time you were talking? Do you feel better now, or do you still suffer a lot, or what happened with you?
It's up and down. First of all, I feel much better with my mind or brain, or what we what we shall say, because I have come a lot of steps to find out what's happening with that before make me real sick, and when I have a lot of this electricity and get swelled but I don't know. It is interesting when I see myself the last year. How many times I think, okay, now I have gone through this and this and this, and thought I will be better, and then there's something new happen, and after all information and fact that we who suffer from this, it's hard sometimes to take all these, because it's not for example, we don't need to look after all information to know what happened, because it's happening. It's happening for me. It's happening in 5, 6, 7 years. I almost forgot the years since everything begins. That day I begin to transform, or to change, and then I change back, and it's many emotional feelings when you're going through this, because you must learn first of all to handle all the pain, and then try to find help from doctors, and then you after all visit to doctors and hospital. Then you understand, okay, nothing happening, what shall I do now? And then like me, I was dead for some years. And then I begin again to wake up, and so it's a very heavy way to walk on. But I felt, I'm surprised that I'm so positive. I will be better. I'm coming back.
Yeah, important is that you don't give up.
That's my goal.
Exactly. No. We have really to be so strong. Don't give up. If you feel bad,
No, I will not.
just be like a fighter. Go on our feet again, getting up and fight against. Come together. Use love. Because love can really help a lot. Because this is what they don't have. They want to destroy us, or to manipulate us, thinking just that we are like consumers for them, making them richer. Because if you are buying all those stuff they put on the commercials, we are just giving them the money that they can continue with this. So we have to stop feeding the
But
beast.
I think the problem that when you are, I have learned a lot, and I'm very happy for that, because if I have not been target and sick with my health like this, I think I never learned so much what I did. But the biggest problem is that because when you lose everything, uh, you have been up, then you walk step and down, and you come to the hell, and then you must walk up again and begin again. And suddenly you don't think of material things, what you can buy. The only thing I have thinking the last year is how will I be better? How can I help myself and my health to be more stronger and have all that back? And suddenly there is a next problem, because when something like this happening, it's not only that. I will not, anybody will think, oh, it's so sorry about her, or it's a pity. I will more learn a lesson that for everybody, a moment can change your life suddenly. And if I have knew that when I have money, or I worked, or have these material things, um, I could prepare a lot. That's because I show up myself. So somebody wake and think, okay, I have this one, and perhaps they begin to feel worse in their health, or strange thing happening to them, so they can prepare them. Because many of us who are victim, it has gone go so many years that we fall down, that you don't need, like you said before, and we isolated. We don't speak out about the truth because we are ashamed. We have no money. We are poor. For example, me, I've lost my hair and all that. So there is not only all this information about what can happen about the nanotechnology and the experiment of the people, and what they can do with a human being around the world. There is so many problems to survive this. So when somebody asks me today if I am okay, yeah, I can say, oh yeah, I feel good, but in the same time my body hurts, my headache, a real strong headache, and but I fight for a little today.
Okay.
Survive.
Melanie came back. She was disconnected a while. So yeah, Melanie, I don't know if you want to say something more, or
Yes, so I had huge computer problems, unfortunately. So I was just disconnected. No, I would like to thank you very much for this live stream, Hans, again.
no, thank
And
you. Thank you.
I thought it was a very good one. I'm looking forward to seeing it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm now very tired and just exhausted, and I have a lot of computer problems. So I'll leave it here. But thanks very much for the opportunity of this update, and I think it was a very, very good show tonight. So I'm very pleased we could have this meeting. It's a nightmare, but
No, you
we
count on me. I'm here.
keep plugging it away at this, and thank you very much for this live stream. And I think maybe in a few weeks' time, also we could do another update.
Of course.
If you agree, and all the best to all of you and all our viewers.
Yep.
And see you soon for another one now.
Okay, just
Okay.
inbox me.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much. Take care. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, almost
I said bye
over.
bye. I have my mute.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we? I think I have a lot of headache too. I think we have a strong headache, all of us today.
Yeah, me too. Just managing
Yeah,
everything here. I mean, it's also not so easy, but I do what I can do. I would be more
it's
professional, have a professional account to avoid the commercials. What seems to happen sometimes on the live stream channel, but without big support, I cannot do more. But I do what I can do, and I hope I do something good here, because this is my one part of the sense of my life, to do something in this life, before I'm dead, to leave for at least something positive here. So thank you also so much, and yeah, we will be live again very soon. As you want, I'm here for you too. Okay.
yeah. It's good that we can help each other. Dirk said something very good because I'm not that person. It's not so funny to show how you are and give out your life that you are broke and have this all strange and for somebody's thinking crazy or but I think it's very important that we who suffer and like you we must help each other and for me because I can't work, I can't do anything, but I can tell what's really happening, and perhaps I can help someone to prepare to be like me, to sit here and my brain will do a lot of things. I have many ideas. I want so much, but my body is it's broken,
Oh my
and
God. Hey.
it takes the longer time to build up my health again. So in that time I can speak my truth and I can promise you all this is not a crazy delusional, this is
No.
the real
I by myself,
happening.
I'm suffering. I have to put myself under control to don't cry here, because it's just watching you're all good friends, and oh my God, we have to stop that. We have to help. We have to come together. I mean, this is hard. I mean, it's not just going live and say hello, Hans. It's here from Project Lights Out, and these are the victims. I mean, I feel for you guys. I mean,
This is reality.
fuck yeah, this is reality, and we have.
This is if the people look at the TV show with the docket soap. I think sometimes when that was worst in my life because I have changed apartment and I almost was homeless, and it has been so many crazy times and years back in my time, but. I think I wish I have a camera because the people like the reality soap opera, what people do and have sex and crazy things. And this is reality, and it is serious reality
Yeah.
that we're talking about. It's not to have fun and
No, no,
and
this is
hope.
happening.
Oh, I hope people listen to me. This is real, and it took me many many years to be so honest and because I think I must first convince myself all this strange thing and what comes out from me and the fibers and everything to that this really happening. And I remember in at least 2 3 years I remember all over my body, legs and arms and head, and I think this is so crazy. How will I in the future uh, replay the story. And I have also today, even if I in detail can tell what's happening, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But that make me positive because I know this is not a story, this is not a science fiction, this is real. First thing is that the first year I think, oh, I have lost, my company, and I try to survive my apartment, and then I have my two sons that was teenage in that time, the both of them, and it's a very sensitive age. It's horrible with when you like Melanie you have, but today I know I couldn't. I was not a mother for 3 years. I couldn't help them. I was forced to look at the situation who break down my family and see my son, especially my youngest son, how wrong steps he must go because of me, because I couldn't be there for him. That broke my heart. That is the only time I almost begin to cry by myself, because my sons in that time they was 14 and 18 I think, and today they are 20 and 25. So I mean, it's not the moment that I hurt or I have lost all these and these, that just money and the material things. But that is nobody believe you. You must convince everybody you're telling the truth. You must convince yourself and all that. And I'm not thinking of all these things in the year from now. And suddenly I began to think, this is really crazy because this happening, and I have lost this and this and this, and now they want money from me. What's happened with my company? And when I think I lost for 4.5 years. So it's a crazy situation in the end. And then when you know this is the truth, then you have another problem, and you're not only me, my sons too. So it's a very evil round circle.
Yeah, it's affecting private life, affecting everything, economical
Everything.
situation, family life, your personality, because in the beginning you didn't know what's happening with you, I mean,
No, it sounds that I was crazy. I can understand people when I was beginning. I remember in the beginning, I told, "Oh, look here, look! There is something strange under my skin," and then I began to see the lights, and and all kind of. And I'm very open, and that surprised me so much that I was quiet in so many years. Uh, I almost not spoken to anybody in 2 years, and this is the first year I begin to really telling even the things which sounds crazy, because I know what I'm talking about.
Marie,
So
thank you so much for
thank you,
for
and take care.
being
And I
here.
wish you the best. I must tell you this. I was so angry in my health care, I think it's called, in my community. So I wrote to them and said, what you are doing, that is like somebody, oh, what it called when you go underwater and you can't come up. When somebody drawing, no, what it calls in English.
Yeah, when it's
Yeah,
underwater,
for example, if
drawing maybe.
you come under the water and you can't have air, and I tell her, it's like you watching, and and the person try to come up and you don't help. That is what you do. And she have no answer to me. But interesting, some people just want to see when other people hurts and suffer, and that's, you have very good heart, Hans. it's important talking about, because if you tell somebody, oh, did you have the new iPhone 5? I don't know if there is iPhone 5, but there was some new iPhone now, and everybody is so wow, it's a new technology, and that and that, and nobody is surprised about what they can do. But if I tell what they can do, the people think I'm crazy. But if you find some new technology, for example, computer or whatever they do, robot or whatever, nobody is surprised. They think, oh, that was a good science man who did this. And that makes me so confused sometimes, because there is so many fact what the technology can do in the world. But for example, if people is have begin to have a worse health, a bad health, and that, then they call they are depressed or delusional. It's crazy. Okay, Hans, we will
Okay.
say good night. Love, peace, and understanding.
Love, peace, and understanding, and count on me. I'm here to help. And thank you all who were watching this. And yeah, the fight is not over yet.
Bye
We
bye.
are just beginning
Yes.
with this. Thank you so much. Love you all, eh? And
Mm.
let's keep thinking positive with love. Thank you, Marie. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.